we're back. College football is back. Let's give my predictions on how I think this college football season will go. And starting off with the ACC, let's look at the ACC. I'm going to go through all the teams, and I'm going to break them down one by one, kind of, and give my just opinions on all of the teams. So looking at Clemson. Clemson at the number 1 position. Miami at the number 2 position, with both teams with a 10-2 record. Looking at SMU, 9-3. North Carolina with Bill Belichick there, 9-3 as well. Georgia Tech, 9-3. Louisville, 8-4. Syracuse, 7-5. Looking at Virginia Tech as well at 7-5. Duke, Florida State, both at 6-6. 6-6. North Carolina at 5-7. Pitt 5-7. Virginia, Boston College, Stanford, all those teams at 4-8. Cal at 3-9, Wake Forest at 3-9 as well. So, looking at these teams, looking at the college football, looking at the ACC Conference, let's go through and look at the starters. Let's look at Clemson, Miami. Well, one of the first questions before I even get into that is, the ACC got 2 teams, I'm pretty sure, in the college football playoffs last year. Can a 2-loss Miami team and Clemson team both get into the college football playoffs next year? Who knows? But let's look at Clemson and Miami. Start off with Clemson. Clemson, to me, are in the best possible situation to win their conference. I think Clemson needs to know and needs to go out there and just be dominant. If Clemson can do that, I think it'll be a cakewalk. Clemson opens the season with LSU. At Clemson, in my opinion, I'm going to give a prediction right now. I'm going to do more videos on it later in the week, of course. But I think LSU will beat Clemson in Death Valley coming up this upcoming week in week 1 of college football. You look at them, though. They play inside their conference. They play Georgia Tech, who I think are going to be a surprisingly really good team this year. North Carolina, who should potentially be a really good team this year as well. SMU at home. They have Louisville. They have South Carolina to end off as well. And to me, those are the hard games they have. So to me, I have South Carolina winning this game against Clemson. I think South Carolina, they will get better throughout the season. I think you look at Clemson, they are a team that should dominate inside of conference. They should be pretty much undefeated inside of conference. I think Dabo Swinney has now crafted a team with Cade there as a returner again this upcoming year. I think he's going to be his 3rd year starting for them. He should dominate. He should be one of the top quarterbacks inside of college football completely. And if he's not, then I think that Clemson team fails. But I don't think they're going to have to rely on that. I think he'll be good. I think he'll be a disciplined quarterback. Miami. You got the transfer from Georgia and Carson Beck. You have a team that's foundationally led by offense. I think last year it was noticeable that defense was the biggest failure of Miami. I think if Miami can have a half-decent defense this upcoming season, then they automatically win 2 more games than they did last year. I think you look at that team from last year, it was Cam Ward controlling and putting up 40 points a game, and that's how they won football games. They also how they lost football games because, especially in that game against Syracuse at the end of the season, Syracuse played defense. Miami didn't have enough defense. They won the football game. And so, again, how will Carson Beck look this upcoming season with the new scenery, new everything? Because now the offense relies heavily on the quarterback position, and he cannot bend and he cannot freeze when it comes to that. So Carson Beck has to deliver if Miami wants to get far in the playoffs. Looking at SMU, they pretty much had a Indiana season in the ACC, had a cakewalk to the end of the season. SMU is one of those teams where it's like if they beat themselves, that's how they are losing football games. I mean, their schedule is not as easy as a lot of people think. Baylor, who I think is an underrated team this upcoming season. Syracuse, who I think is an underrated team this upcoming season. TCU, you have Miami, you have Louisville, and then Cal. I don't think Cal are going to be great, but it's still rivalry weekend, and that's going to be that. I think SMU misses out on the college football playoff to get a nice bowl game, though. I just don't think they have enough to compete with Miami and Clemson, and that's just a harsh reality. North Carolina, this has been the biggest question mark, the biggest conversation all offseason long. Bill Belichick, one of the greatest, if not the greatest head coaches of all time, come in there, get a lot of money for his football program, goes out and starts spending in NIL. How will this team look? How will this team play? How can they be dominant? I look at it. I'm drastically excited for this. North Carolina team. I'm excited for them to come to Charlotte and play my alma mater and the Charlotte 49ers. It's going to be a great season for North Carolina. They can potentially go 10-2 and potentially even have a conversation about that college football playoffs. Now they need a lot to happen. They need a lot to go wrong. They need to make sure that they are being consistent and winning every single football game, and that's definitely just a start. You look at the next team, Georgia Tech. I got them at 9-3. People are like, "What do you mean 9-3 for Georgia Tech?" Georgia Tech, to me, are one of the most underrated teams in college football. What they did, almost beating Georgia last season, and just the makeup of that team, that coaching staff, that coach. They opened the season with Colorado in Colorado. That's not going to be an easy game for Georgia or Colorado both. I think that's going to be a dog fight, and I think even if Georgia Tech loses that game, they still have a lot to build on for this upcoming season. If we look at it, Georgia Tech, excuse me, has Colorado. They have Clemson. They have Duke at home, which is a hard place to lose or a hard place to win at. Syracuse, who I'm going to talk about them in a second, aren't great, but they have potential to climb their rankings in the next couple of seasons. And they have Georgia to finish off. I think you look at Georgia Tech. They are a team that with their schemes, with their system, with their offense, defense, they can surprise a bunch of people. And if they can win the games that they need to win, like Pitt, Boston College, North Carolina State. And if they can steal it at Duke as well, that's not a bad way to start to get your season towards the end. So you look at Syracuse. Here's my biggest thing with Syracuse: 7-5. I have them at have them losing a couple games more than last season. My thing with Syracuse is this: I am going to compare Syracuse to Ole Miss and Tennessee. Meaning, yes, I think they are on the right path, but I think they're a couple seasons off of being there. I think you look at Syracuse, they had a transfer in Kyle McCord, who was one of the best quarterbacks in college football the year before. He was also he had the highest passing yards last year. He had the highest passing yards in college football last year. I think it's going to be hard to replace Kyle McCord. Do I think they can? Yes. But I think we'll see a dip in Syracuse this upcoming season, and I'm drastically excited to see that coaching staff over there and them do a great job. Virginia Tech, again, just aren't great. Just aren't going to be in a spot where they can really achieve much, especially with a very top-heavy ACC conference with the likes of Louisville, Georgia Tech, Syracuse, North Carolina, SMU, Clemson, and Miami. And so I'll look at teams like Louisville, Virginia Tech, Duke. Like, they aren't going to really push the needle for me this upcoming year. But then you look at Florida State. People are like, 6-6 for Florida State. Yes, what, they won one or two games last year. But here's the issue: if you go back before that, Florida State weren't a football team who were winning 10, 9, 8 games a year. Florida State were a 7-5, 6-6 team for the past decade, pretty much. They aren't gonna go and be transformative after one season, after stinking it up for 1 year. No, that's just not. That's a very high that's an expectation that they're not going to meet. And so when I look at it, I see Florida State not getting back up to that 9-10 win, but I see them getting halfway. 500 is not a bad start. I think if you slowly trajectorize yourself to this team to inside of college football, you'll be fine. You look at a team like NC State; they've dipped off a couple as well. They just haven't been great in recent years. There was 2 years ago where they came out really hot and then crashed, but I think, again, they aren't going to do that. Pitt, Virginia, no. Boston College, I love Bill O'Brien over there at Boston College, but I personally don't think he has enough. I just don't think he have enough to compete with the Georgia Techs. I don't think they have enough to compete with Notre Dame, SMU, Louisville. I don't see. I mean, Michigan State out of conference game as well. I think they'll beat Cal, but 4 wins to me, 4 to 6 wins max. Is what Bill O'Brien should be expecting there. But, looking at Stanford, Cal, Wake Forest, they aren't football schools. They just aren't. That's just the harsh reality of it. But let me know what y'all think down below in the comments about the ACC and how y'all think the ACC will do this year. I'm very, very excited to watch some of those teams in the ACC at the top really dominate and see what they can do towards the end of the regular season. But let me know what y'all think down below in the comments. It's going to be a very exciting year for the ACC.